Leviticus 11, verse 45. Be holy, for the Lord your God is holy. That sounds so, weighty. Be holy. I don't know about you, but that's sometimes difficult for me. And I know a lot of people in the church or who have left the church because of the rules of the church seemed so oppressive. The expectations were so heavy. And when they couldn't live up to someone else's expectations, they felt just guilty or ashamed. Have I got good news for you? Holiness, which is not just the theme throughout the book of Leviticus, but really peppered throughout the Bible, is this command, be holy for the Lord your God is holy. The good news is in the definition of holiness. Now, typically we think of holiness as a list of rules and expectations, obligations. Now, that's true. There are some expectations of behavior, but that's the secondary definition of holiness. The primary definition of holiness, and if you get this first, not second, it will release you to live a life that honors God and makes you healthier and happier. Here's the first definition of holiness, and it's really very simple. It's not a kind of behind the veil or up on a mountain or in a monastery. It's not this secret sauce of what makes a good person a good person. Holiness is simply election or selection, if you choose that word. When you take something, it could be a very normal thing. You take it and you set it aside for your purposes. That becomes holy. So here's an example. Your toothbrush, believe it or not, it's holy. You took this normal brush, could be used to clean grout, could be used to scrub something, but you took a normal brush, you set it aside, and you said, this is mine. And it's for one purpose, it's to brush my teeth. It's not for anything else and no one else. It's my toothbrush for my teeth. That's holy. Or here's another illustration. You take a bolt of fabric, and you could turn that bolt of fabric into curtains or a bedspread, but once you turn it into a wedding dress, it becomes set apart. Like you're not going to wear that wedding dress to garden or to go jogging. You wear it once on one day and for one person. Now, I know some people share wedding dresses cross-generationally, but you get the idea. It is set aside for a specific purpose by a specific person. That is what holiness means. It is about election, not action. Holiness is proclaimed before it is ever practiced. So God, in the Old Testament, He elected or selected a nation. They were the Israelites. And He said, you are mine. And I'm going to use you for my purpose, no one else's. That doesn't mean that they were better than the other nations. It doesn't mean that they were more righteous or religious than other nations. They were simply chosen by God. And so are you. Your holiness is in God's proclamation, not your practice. It is in God's election, not your actions. Now that is really, really good news, especially because if you do want to live a life that honors God, it's not on all the don'ts of some religious regulation. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't sleep around. Those are all negative. Holiness is primarily positive. It comes out of a relationship with God. And I think you get this. If you've ever fallen in love, that the love of that person, that they chose you, changes you. Suddenly you start being attentive to things that you weren't before. You start enjoying things that you didn't before because of the relationship with the person that chose you. And that's what God wants for you. Look, is there a practice of righteousness? Absolutely. We live lives, or we want to live lives that honor God. But the power to change your life is not in the practice of your own discipline. It's in the proclamation of God's decision. He chooses you, and because of that, you want to do everything you can to honor Him with the life that you live. So even if you have had a past that you want to be in the past, you can have a future of righteousness with God. You can change, but the change comes from a relationship, not from discipline. Let me summarize the whole thing this way. Rules without relationship create rebellion. But when you have the relationship the rules don't even matter because it's the relationship that drives the positive change that not only honors God, but builds health and peace and happiness in your life. Be holy because the Lord your God is holy.